Hey, what's up, Sports Talk Detroit? The Detroit Lions have a new hire. It is offensive coordinator, former tight end coach, Ben Johnson. He has finally been named the OC. We know who's running the show. Well, Chris, we know who's the OC. We don't know who's running the show as far as play calling goes yet. I think I have a pretty good idea on that. But let me just ask you, for starters, how do you feel about this hire? I think we all saw it coming. I think we saw it coming toward the end of the year and the fallout with the previous coach, with Lynn. How do you feel about Ben Johnson being named the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about him
Yeah.
and it was almost felt like we don't have nothing else to talk about. We're 0-10. Let's just talk about this young, bright kid or something. It just like,
Yeah.
we get a first down. It's like, let's talk about how he schemed that one up. And it just felt like, what's the big deal? So after he gets named OC, you and I do some digging into him, just like what's the deal with him? And man, other coaches are raving about him. I think
Yes.
we've all seen like Cincinnati's coach worked with him in Miami, and then Dan Campbell was in Miami. And by the way, it's funny to look at different coaches and where they're at now. Jim Bob Cooter is in Jacksonville. In case you're
I did not
wondering
know
where
that.
Jimmy was. Yeah. But they were in Miami, and then Dan Campbell takes over interim, puts Ben Johnson at OC no. Oh, okay. Anyway, let me go back to that in a second because it gets
No, I got you on that. So when he
Yeah.
took over as interim head coach, Ben Johnson took the tight ends.
took the tight ends. I think
Yes.
Zach Taylor took the offense.
I don't know for a fact, but
I
I'm
don't either,
assuming
but
Taylor took the OC.
But my point is, he's been around these guys, and Zach Taylor's like, this dude, I'm trying to hire him, love him, he's smart. And so kind of what I thought when we hired him, and I did a little more digging, analytics guy. And I think Dan Campbell is a big analytics guy. We look past it because he's kind of got the meat stick look, and he's
because
just
he looks like the dude.
Yeah. He just looks like, we're just going for it. It's like, look at your sheet, Dan. He just goes, go. But it's like, no, I think
it.
Yeah, I think he's very in tune to that. And
absolutely.
And so I love analytics, and I'm definitely one that's like, I just want to know what the analytics are. I'm still going to go with my heart or my gut, but I want to know what do the analytics say here? Oh, it's 60% chance. Well, I know that, but I still don't want to do it in this time, whatever. But I think Dan Campbell's like, I want another analytics guy. I want to be analytics. And I think Anthony Lynn wasn't as much. I don't know that for a fact, but I just think, and I know you're going to talk about a quote that you saw, but I think that's just brings it all together. We're going to be analytics, foundation. We're going to still go off our gut, but Ben Johnson brings that kind of that younger analytic style that I think I love it. I absolutely love it. So what about you? What did you think of him coming on board or not coming on board, but OC?
Well, yeah. And here's the thing about Ben Johnson. I didn't know anything about him. It's one of those rare situations where I didn't know anything about one of the Lions coaches. Like, we had all these splashy moves in the offseason to hire all these great coaches. And then all of a sudden it's like, who's this Ben Johnson guy?
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, wait a minute. He was on Patricia's staff. Oh, he must be terrible. Like, he was a holdover from Patricia's staff. Then you start doing a little digging and you realize he was a quarterback at North Carolina, got into coaching at Boston College, then spent 7 seasons with the Miami Dolphins. Part of that time was with Dan Campbell.
Yep.
But while he was there, he was an offensive assistant. He was a quarterbacks coach, wide receivers coach, tight ends coach. He's coached all along the offense. He's been in the NFL for 10 years now. Right. So it's just weird. You were talking about how guys like, where's Jim Bob Cooter and stuff? Well, all of a sudden, Ben Johnson is here in Detroit under Patricia's staff, and Dan Campbell comes in. He's like, hey, I know you. We'll keep you, and he ends up being the OC. Like, I think it's really cool. And then I was like, okay, but how good is it? So I went and I dug in. So I think Campbell took over play calling after the bye week.
Yep.
And then he had 3 games, and then it was like, man, things really aren't working with Anthony Lynn. And then he promoted Ben Johnson to the passing game coordinator and demoted Anthony Lynn again just to run game coordinator. I'm going to give you some stats. You know me, I like my stats. All right. And I like crazy stuff that backs up where my brain is. So I'm going to show you, since he became, the last 6 games that the Lions played, they scored. This is how many points they scored: 29, 10. That was a stinker. 30, 16, 29, 37. Okay. So in the last 6 games, they scored over 17 points four out of the 6 times. In the previous 11 games, do you know how many times they scored over 17?
3.
1.
Mm.
And it was week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers. They never did it again until they bring in Ben Johnson. Dan Campbell's calling the plays. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, maybe this works. The whole Ben Johnson. And here's the way I'm imagining it working. And I was listening to a couple of other beat writers talk about this too, is you have Dan Campbell's got his headset, Ben Johnson saying, here's the pass play I'd call. Anthony Lynn was saying the run play. Dan Campbell calls one of the plays. Or whatever he had on his own. And so it's like, oh my goodness, multiple minds. Sometimes it takes longer to get the play in, which can be a struggle. But I think there's proof that it was working at the end. And by the way, 2 of those games that were stinkers, Goff wasn't even playing. Goff was 3-1 in the games that he played in when these 2 were working together to help coach the offense.
That's great. Yeah, that's
awesome.
And,
that's gold.
Dude, because we say this and it's just kind of this thing, but like in the first few games there, you have to score over 20 points in the NFL.
You have to.
Just I mean, otherwise you will not win. And look at that. We weren't winning. And the San Francisco game was just they're killing us. They're murdering us, and they just let us time run out. Whoops, exactly.
Just chucking it all over the field in the second half.
So I absolutely love it. I'm with you. Didn't know anything about this guy, and then there's some articles. He's taken over passing game coordinator, and like it just felt like we were looking for anything to talk about. But when you dig into this guy and things are happening, it's like, dude, let's go. Like
when was the last time we had a Detroit Lions coaching staff where people were talking about the other coaches on the staff, like around the NFL, and it was all good? Like usually there's silence, and that's not great. But now you have good coaches saying good things about our coaches. I don't remember the last time that happened. I just don't.
No. And dude, I would love to just be like, get a true moment with Ben Johnson and be like, tell me the difference between Patricia and how that was run and now. And I would just love to know, because he was a holdover, like you said. And I would just love to, because it just feels so good. The transparency. Dan Campbell talks like a normal human. All the coaches do. They just talk normal. And like you said, we've got Aubrey Pleasant is going off to, or, he's interviewing.
He
Aaron
might,
Glenn,
in Minnesota.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn is like right there. He's going to be gone before we know it. Deuce Staley is not, he's the assistant coach. I mean, we don't even talk about him. He's the assistant coach. Antoine Randall L is just cool. Mark Brunell, I don't know if they're good, but it's just cool to have him on
well,
staff.
and that's the next question too, right? Is Deuce Staley become the running game coordinator, or does he stay as running backs coach and assistant head coach? Like, I don't know how much assistant head coach entails. I don't know how Dan Campbell does that. But here's the thing. You said they're normal guys. They talk normal. I was reading through an article, and there were some quotes there from Ben Johnson. And you know how Dan Campbell kind of has this thing where he just can't tell the truth. He can't not tell the truth.
Yeah.
Like he'll try and skirt a question, but then he answers it anyway, because there's like something in him that just has to tell what's happening. So they were asking him about his role and what his vision was for the offense. And here's what Ben Johnson said. I'm going to read this. It said, I'll be honest with you. It's really Campbell's vision for the offense and having his back with that. It's what he wants to see, where he wants it to go. And I think it really kind of centers there. This is a head coach driven team, and that's offense, defense, and special team. Where he wants it to go, we will go. And so like, there's this buy-in from the coaches that trickles down. They're bought in. And he's also there's not this level of pride where it's just like, no, this is my offense and I'm excited to see where it goes. It's no, I know who my authority is. I know who my boss is. I'm listening to him, and we're going to get this done together.
Yeah, it's so refreshing. And it's like, these guys get it. And Dan Campbell gets it. And you knew that right away when he was just talking about, he didn't say servant leadership, I don't think, but it was something along those lines. Like, I know when to not be the alpha, and just things that you're like, thank you, man. This is great.
Thank you.
And yes, like you said, players want to win for him. Coaches want to win for him. And
there's a lot of Kool-Aid on this episode, Chris.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of Kool-Aid. Can we find something bad about him? Do you have anything bad?
Rot your teeth. The only thing I would say, again, Dan Campbell could go and get somebody just with his name, and just, I think players are going to want to come here, but especially coaches. I would not have been surprised with more of a splashy name, but I also
Yep.
think I'm okay with it. I'm going back to the Kool-Aid. I just kind of trust Dan Campbell until we see otherwise. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised with a splashier name, but that's about
Yeah.
it.
I think the only bad thing I can say about it is that there's unprovenness. Yes, he's been a coach for a long
Right.
time. So is Campbell, right? But they're two guys that have never actually ran an offense, and they did it in a limited sample size. They had
Right.
good success with it in that limited sample size. But, again, the quotes that you hear from Zach Taylor and other people, I think Jared Goff quoted as saying the guy's a genius. Like, he said that Ben Johnson reminds him of Sean McVay type things. And like, he was kind of going in there, and I'm just like, did I read that right? Did I dream that? I don't know.
Yep.
I still don't know because I
So-
haven't refound the article, but like, he's talking about like the mind and not afraid to use new plays and call plays that are completely out of the box. So
Yep.
I'm excited about the hire, man. But I think it's about time we end this video. This was fun. I'm excited about it. I know we're entering the quiet season, but it won't be quiet because it's always the Detroit Lions Super Bowl, the NFL draft coming up.
That's
and
right.
we're going to continue talking about that stuff too. So excited about this hire, excited to see it on the field. If you are still watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're so thankful that you're watching us, that you're listening to us two knuckleheads talk about the team that we love. And hey, as always, go Lions, and we'll see you later.